Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. Maya with Fly Like Me PhD. Now, I know that we haven't talked a lot about solo travel on this channel, but I have a very special guest that has information about solo travel. I have solo traveled in Latin America, specifically Spanish speaking countries, because I speak Spanish, but I think this conversation is fantastic for us to learn about African countries to travel to as well as how to travel to those countries solo. So, without further ado, I would like to pass it over to my guest, Jazz, who's going to introduce herself and her channel.
Hey, Dr. Maya, thanks ever so much for having me on the channel, on your channel. It's such an honor. So, hi everyone, I'm Jase. So, my channel is Jase Nomade TV. Jase Nomade, why nomade in French is nomad, as a traveler. I was born in Gabon, grew up in France, Switzerland. I lived in 7 countries. And so my channel is really about traveling. And recently I geared it toward Africa because I want people to learn about African countries, the less popular one, that people don't usually go to. And also to show to people that, traveling is not just for a selected few. Everyone can travel if you make it a priority. And it's a great, great way to not only meet yourself when you travel, because I travel solo, it's the best thing to travel for me, and really go and meet other culture and really I learned by traveling that we all essentially the same, looking for love, for and yeah, that's me.
That was really beautiful. I love what you said about, if you prioritize it, we all can find something for travel. There is a place out there for everyone. We just have to find what we're interested in. So let's kick this conversation off with talking about how we would define solo travel. So for me, it is going to a country by yourself. There is no one with you. You are
No.
flying there. You have no friends. You don't know anybody in the place, and you're navigating this place alone. Would you describe it in the same way, or do you have a different idea for solo travel?
It's essentially the same way. The way you say that, it was like, it's not scary. You're traveling by yourself, but being solo, you never solo. You meet so many people along the way. And what I would add with solo traveling is I organize everything myself, from the flight, from the accommodation, because you can go to an agency and say, okay, book me a place and do everything for me. For me, solo traveling is also include like, looking at my budget, because I traveling solo, you need, and I want to travel for a long time. I usually book everything myself and pay attention to the pennies to make sure that I can stretch my traveling.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Definitely have to pay attention. I find that in solo travel, sometimes you can actually save more money if you are like going on a group, whatever that program cost is, that's just what you have to pay.
Yeah.
But you can be more creative with solo travel, finding ways to get there, finding cheaper accommodations rather than always doing things that are luxury. So I find that this could actually be a place that you can make your budget work for you on solo travel. Could you tell us about the 5 African countries that you would recommend people solo travel that maybe we don't really consider that much that you've gone to?
Yeah, actually made a video on my channel about that. I'm just going to try to record them. But I know within these countries, the less popular one would have been Gabon, where I'm from. It's a Central African country, and it's a beautiful country with biodiversity and still raw. If you want something that is off the beaten path, Gabon is beautiful. It's coastal. If you go to Libreville, which is the capital, Port-Gentil, you would not regret it. The second one would be Cameroon. Cameroon is a bit tougher. It's like for like more experienced travelers, but you can do it even if you're a first time. You just have to find somebody there that will accompany you. What I like with Cameroon is the raw Africa. You know, I was saying if you go to South Africa, if you go to Morocco, it will give you a feel you are on the continent, but it's not so much as the raw Africa. Cameroon will give you really the authentic Africa with the food. My goodness, the food and all of that. Then we have Benin. Oh my God, I fell in love with Benin. Benin is an amazing country. And you know, you are African American. For those who want to learn about like slavery and how our ancestries were, you know, shipped abroad for the transact. I never can pronounce it. Yeah,
It's okay. I got you. Transatlantic slave trade.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
whole mouthful. Yeah.
it's too much for me to pronounce. You would learn so much. You know, they have nine roads of the road that the slave took before being shaped. It's very hard to see it, but at the same time, I think there's some healing into being there. It's like giving homage, and I don't know, but it's an amazing country. Despite that, Benin has so much to offer. It's very cheap, so if you are a backpacker, it's a great place to go. They use a lot of motorbike taxi, so you have to be comfortable with that. But it's a nice place. People are very nice. It's a nice place to go when you just start as a solo traveler into Africa, because people are gentle, compared to Cameroon where people are very raw and very in your face. Benin people are very calm, very polite. It's a beautiful place. And the same, you want to see beaches, you want to see history, you want to see biodiversity. I mean, Africa is so rich. Where whichever country you would go to, you'll find so much. Benin, it's a must. It's a must. The next one, if I remember well, would have been Senegal. Senegal is also one of the country that is a great place to go to, because if you come to from Europe, from the West, Senegal is a nice entry level as well. There's a bit of both. It's a true African country in the sense where there's a lot of culture in Senegal, but at the same time, it's so well developed that you won't feel lost. There's road, there's Yango, there's what's the name? Uber there. It's very cheap to take Uber, so that's another great, great place to take. And oh my goodness, one of my favorite one is Namibia. Namibia, it's I don't know. Instead of going to Dubai, Dubai is amazing. I live there. But Namibia has exactly the same thing because they have the dunes, you know, and but there's not a lot of people in Namibia. And it's extremely well developed. If you've been to South Africa, Namibia is the same way. But Namibia has a lot more to offer. Um, it's very friendly, it's tourist friendly. And if you are a first time traveler, I would try Namibia. If you wanted to go to South Africa, if you've been there, try Namibia because it's a place that you would really, really love. And I want to add a bonus one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bonus one is Zambia. Oh my God, go to Zambia. If not just for the Victoria Falls, one of the seven wonders in the world, it's amazing. And when you're there on the African soil and you see what God created, right? And people in Namibia are very gentle as well. And coming to Namibia, Namibia has a mix of South Africa and let's say Cameroon, the raw Africa and the gentle. So it's like a mix, a very balanced place to be. Very beautiful. Yeah.
That was wonderful. You really took us through a lot of great countries. Specifically, I notice a lot of times in the US, we are oversaturated with information about South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria. We don't really get a chance to hear about places like Cameroon, for example, or Zambia. So I'm really glad that you talked about those countries specifically. Could you tell us how you decided to choose those countries?
Well, the thing is, I have traveled a lot. I lived in seven countries altogether. I lived in Bahrain, Dubai, the UK, now France, Gabon, Cameroon. I've traveled a lot. India, China, name it. I've been Australia, everywhere. But because I'm an African born, I never intentionally decide to travel to Africa. It was like, okay, traveling was not that. And then one day I decided, wow, I actually would love to discover Africa, and now my goal is to visit every country in Africa. So I started with Senegal. For what I told you, Senegal is a non-tree level. It's like a balanced place where you can go. So I started in Senegal, and it was an amazing experience. You have the Gorée Island there, which is also the where slaves were kept. But it's not just that. There's so much in Senegal. The culture, the food. There's so much in Senegal, and it's a place where you can really live peaceful. You won't be so um you won't feel that different. You are in Africa, but there's so much. The infrastructure is very well made. And then I went to Zambia. But the reason I went to Zambia is because we traveled with the Exodus Summit to South Africa. And so I was like, I'm paying a ticket to go all the way to South Africa. No way that I'm going to stop there. So from South Africa, I went to by road. I went to Namibia. Then Namibia, I went to Zambia, right? And I wanted to continue to Tanzania. Unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to do that. And that's a great way to travel as well when you're solo as well. Is that you have the flexibility to go wherever you want to go because there's nobody that you have to consult, and I love it. It's so much freedom. And then Benin was after Senegal, which is the West Africa. I decided to travel to Benin because Benin have some family members there. So I thought, okay, let me visit Benin, but I had no expectation for Benin. And it was just an amazing trip, and I'm so looking forward to go back there. And what was the other one? I think that's about it. Gabon and Cameroon are just well. My husband is from Cameroon, and that's where we're retiring and we're building. And then Gabon, well, that's where I'm born. So yeah.
Okay. What I love that you mentioned is if you're going to go all the way, you might as well go to 2 countries.
Hello.
So when I
Yes.
took yeah, exactly. When I took a trip to Tanzania, I also went to Uganda. So I was like
Yes.
2 and 1. And when I went to Nigeria, I also went to Ghana. So we would definitely recommend if you are traveling far to get to African countries because they are so close together, you can be able to tack another one on there. One of the biggest things that I would say is probably like a challenge is just making sure that you have your visa. So, from coming from the US specifically, we have to have a lot of visas for African countries. And so, some of the countries require them and some of them don't. For example, I went to Morocco with no visa, but for Tanzania and Uganda, Nigeria, and Ghana, I definitely needed a visa. So making sure that we have that is a thing. And did you mention at one time about visa process with in African countries? I think maybe you commented on one of my videos about that.
Yes, Ghana. But let me come
Ghana.
back quickly to what you
Yeah.
just said, and which
Yeah.
was a very good point. These countries that I chose, also, it was because with my French passport, I would go there visa free. I
Visa
wanted to
free.
visit Zimbabwe, right? Because the Victoria Falls is shared between Zambia and Zimbabwe. And
Mm.
Zimbabwe has the biggest part, 75% of the Victoria Falls, and Zambia has 25%. Usually people go to Zimbabwe, but Zimbabwe would require for me to have a visa, whether I was using my African passport or my French passport. We need to save money when we travel. And to be honest, whether you see Victoria Fall from Zambia, 25%, it's breathtaking. You're not losing anything by not going to Zimbabwe. If you can, of course. So that's a very good point. These are, when I travel now, to be honest with you, I go without a visa. I go where I don't require a visa. But for Ghana, I so wanted to go to Ghana that I had to pay the visa, but it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare to get a visa for Ghana. And now, recently, apparently, they opened the border for all Africans. So I'm looking forward to go back to Ghana, this time without the hassle of the visa because it was very stressful. I almost canceled my trip because it was so difficult. I had to pay extra, um, you know, uh, to be able to get a visa to enter Ghana at that time.
Thank you for mentioning that. My Ghana visa experience was also a nightmare, and I have a video. I'll link that for you all in the description box. Also, know that Jazz's channel it will be in the description box, as well as this video that we're mentioning about the 5 countries that are recommended to travel that we typically don't think about. But yeah, that Ghana was very challenging. So I would just say this: if you're trying to go to Ghana, what I have learned is in December, you can get a visa on arrival. So a visa on arrival just means that when you get there, you're in the airport and you get your visa experience. You like give them all your documentation to get a visa. But if you do not go in December, then you have to do it beforehand online, sending documents in. So that is our advice about Ghana, but more information about that in my other video. So I want to just say, in terms of solo travel, I wanted to talk about what made us decide to become solo travelers. So I'll just give a very brief discussion or story about myself. I had traveled to so many countries before, but every time I was like, somebody needs to go with me. It needs to be my friend. It needs to be my mama. It needs to be a group. Like, I am not going by myself. And then I got to a place where it was like, nobody was available to travel when I wanted to travel. I was like traveling on off months. Maybe it was like April, maybe it was like February, and people were working. And so I was like really sad. And I said, I guess I can't go anywhere because I don't have anybody to go with me. And then my friend is like, you've been to 30 countries. Why can't you go to one by yourself? I said, girl, why would I ever do that? Who do you think you talking to? Like, we need at least one person to go. And she was like, I think you could do it. And so in that moment, I was like, all right, I'm going to try. And so the first country I actually went to solo was Uruguay, which is in South America. I was living in Colombia at the time. And let me tell you, I was so scared. I told my friend, I was like, this is my location. This is his phone number. This is my phone number. This is where I'm going to be. If I don't message you after I get off that plane, immediately call someone. You come and get me. Like, I was so scared, but I got off the plane. It was fine. My taxi driver was right there waiting for me. He took me to my location. I was in an Airbnb. It was a little late at night when I got there. That was the only ticket I could get. And I was like, please don't leave me. And he was like, okay. So the taxi driver stayed with me until the person from the Airbnb came, opened the door, helped me inside, and it was absolutely fine. So going back to what you mentioned earlier, it can feel super scary. I think, especially as women, especially as Black people, there's like so much shame. There is so much that people put into our heads about like safety all the time. I don't know if you know this, but all the time is always about safety. And I'm like, sometimes the country that you are in is not as safe as you think it is. But that is another conversation for another day. And so I want to know from you, what was it that people were telling you when you're like, I'm about to go out here, I'm about to live my life, it's about to be fabulous? And then what allowed you to be brave enough to be able to go do it? And when you got off that plane the first time solo travel, what was it like?
Right. Okay. I will start by saying, although I've traveled my entire life in the sense where born in Gabon, shipped so many different places. I say ship because I was a kid and did not take the decision at the time to go to places. And then I got married and I was traveling with my husband. And when you partner, when you have a husband, he does everything and you're just like a passenger, right? So I never had to take really decision. But then at some point, my husband didn't want to travel anymore because he was a consultant and traveled the world with his job. So now, when I wanted to travel, he didn't want to go anywhere but in his home country in Cameroon. But I've seen Cameroon many times. That's not traveling for me. It's just going home. It's just another of my home. And so I've decided to go to, like I say, Senegal first. because I knew Senegal was a place where I wouldn't be too uncomfortable, but still it was difficult for me at first. I was afraid: am I going to get lost? Am I going to do this and that? And I didn't know. And family, although I'm African, right? But the family were like, aren't you scared to go by yourself? Going to Senegal, etc. People wouldn't, tell me, people were just telling me not to go. Okay, there's danger. You don't know what's happening in Senegal at the moment. There's always this and that. But I was like, if it's your day, it's your day. I'm gonna go. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I was scared, but I did. I bought my ticket and I traveled. When I arrived at the airport, I was so scared because the same, you're scared of maybe you have to make sure to take the right taxi, the official taxi, to not take just those people calling you as taxi, because you never know where they're going to take you. So I took all the precautions, right? It was either Uber or an official taxi. So I went with the official taxi that was more expensive. And then, once I was there in the country, it was okay, baby steps. And the good thing is, Senegalese people were so welcoming, so lovely, that I felt at ease and I felt at home. And then after a few days, I was like, okay, I'm a solo traveler. I did it. I made it. I'm here. Now, I'm sorry. I'm in Senegal. There's Gambia next door. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go to Gambia. So I booked a bus the next morning at 5 a.m. I find myself now in a bus. It's like a very local bus. You have chicken there, you have everything, you have like the local bus. And then we arrive, and I didn't even realize that to go to Gambia, you had to go to a ferry, on a ferry. So I arrive in a port, and my husband called, where are you? I say, I have no idea. I took a bus in the morning, and then I'm now somewhere. Apparently, I have to take a ferry. It's like, but where are you? Senegal and Gambia has like two different ports that you can go to the country. I say, I have no idea. So it's like, send me your location. So he's the one now telling me where I was. And I didn't realize also that going to Gambia, you're going to have a different currency. So I spoke to a young lady in the bus, and we're friends to this day. She took me by hand. We crossed with the ferry. We arrived on the other side. She took me to the bank. And when a taxi guy tried to, take money out of me, she called the police. So just to say, the same precaution you take at home, sometimes it's not even safe at home, right? Compared to when you go to other countries. There's always, people are beautiful. There's genuine and kind human in this world, and you will meet them along the way. That young girl took me everywhere in the taxi, took me to the place, the Airbnb where I was staying. And then the next day, she showed me a country. And it's been, I don't know how many years, we're still friends today, right? So you met these people. And let me add something even. When I was leaving Gambia, I forgot all my equipment, a bag, who has my camera, all the very expensive gears. I've left it in a hotel because we went to have a coffee there. And when I went to the plane, I realized I didn't have it. She went back to the hotel. The hotel gave her the bag, and then she sent it back to me in the UK. And that was in Gambia, Africa. But people will tell you, oh, it's unsafe. Imagine gears, they could have a sold, they could have a sell, they could sell everything that was in it. They didn't. They sent it back to me in the UK. This is just to tell you, the news will scare us about Africa, about the world. The world is such a bad place to be. But when you travel, you will find that it's not the truth. There's amazing people in this world. You just have to take the same precaution that you take elsewhere. Sorry, I already forgot the question. I just been talking.
No, you're great. So I just wanna really highlight what you said, the fact that there are wonderful people everywhere. So, Jessica Nabongo, I don't know if you know her, she wrote Catch Me If You Can. She is the first Black woman to travel to every country in the world, and in her book, she said that there are friends everywhere in every country, and so what you talked about this person that was helping you is wonderful, and you're still friends today. Like you, there are friends out there everywhere. You just haven't met them yet. And we don't have to be afraid of other people. There are incredible people out here. So even though this wasn't necessarily in an African country, I went to Paraguay for my birthday, and my tour guide stayed with me the whole day. He was like, "Today's your birthday? What do you want to do?" I thought that, we were just doing we were supposed to do like a 3 hour, maybe like 4 hour tour. He stayed with me the whole day and showed me everything and became a friend. I was
Yeah,
like, wow, this is really incredible. So, like you said, you can meet some really great people when you are traveling. I also wanted to mention something else that you mentioned when we talk about the taxis. Okay. So this is a big thing. When you come out the airport, people are like, taxi, taxi. They see you and they're like, oh, we ready to charge. We got whatever you need. Where did you need to go? That's actually where I was headed to, so you definitely want to make sure that you are taking the right taxi. So what I do is when I'm in the airport, there will be an official place for taxis, and I go straight to that place. Now, know that in the airport, they're going to overcharge you because they're like, yeah, girl, that's great. $100 to get down the street. But that will kind of like guarantee you that the taxi is safe. The taxi driver will have a license. Normally, it will be in the car where you see their picture, the driver's license, their information, just so that you know who the person is that you're driving with. They'll give you the information if you go in the airport. So the negative is that the airport's probably going to overcharge you, but the positive is that it's going to be safe. So after you take that expensive taxi drive, then you can take ones that are more convenient. Another thing that I did is once I get to, if I'm staying at a hotel, I'll ask the hotel to recommend a taxi company for me. And in many cases, they've called the taxi driver for me. So this
yeah.
is how you can make sure that that taxi driver is safe. So what I wanted to also ask you is, what is something, one, that surprised you about solo travel, and two, that excited you about solo travel? I'll go first. For me, the thing that surprised me was like my ability to navigate the situation. I also was scared. I'm like, I've never been here before. I don't know where to go or what to do. But using all of my experience of traveling, I was like, okay, what do you do first? You get a taxi. What do you do second? You get to your accommodations. What do you do third? You check in at your accommodations. What do you do fourth? You think about the plan for the next day. Am I doing a tour? Do I just want to walk around? And so knowing to like trust yourself, I think was one of the most surprising things to me, is like, wow, my friend was right. I could travel solo. Why did she believe in me? But I did not believe in me. So that surprised me. And then I think the thing that was really exciting is what you mentioned earlier, not having to worry about what other people want to do. I was like, what do you want to do today? I'm like, I'm just randomly going to go to the movies. I'm just randomly going to go on this tour. I have nothing planned today. I'm just walking down the street. And that sounds good to me. Like just looking around at nature, seeing people, it's just so exciting to see things that you want to do and not have to ask people what they want to do. Because sometimes people don't want to do what you want to do. So yeah, tell us what for you was surprising and what was exciting.
I think what was surprising is almost what you said. It's how much capable we are, because I was so afraid to go by myself. My husband always done everything, and I always thought of myself as not logical. So am I going to lose myself somewhere? And then I discovered that, my goodness, I'm so much more capable of doing things by myself, right? So it teaches you a lot about yourself, right? You really find yourself, your true self, when you travel solo, because you have only you to rely on. Yes, there's people around you who you can ask as well. And the second thing is, what I said at the beginning is traveling solo, you are never alone. You know, a lot of the thing that people think is traveling solo, oh, I'm going to be alone, I'm going to be eating alone, I'm going, no, you don't. You know, you will find people along the way, whether when you're doing the tours, you know, if you do walking tours or whatever tours you're going to go to, you'll get talking with people because we're all travelers there, you know, and we want to know about each other, etc. You'll meet people. What was the second part of the question?
Something that excited you?
Oh, what excited me? Oh my goodness, everything, you know. Um, just that freedom to be, that freedom to, like, you know, decide, maybe as you say, sit at a coffee table and do people watching. When you don't want to be alone, to go with a group of people who want to go out and mingle. Yeah, it's just so much flexibility when you travel solo. You really have the best of both worlds, because you can have that freedom and that alone time for introverted people that like to spend quite a lot of time by themselves, like me. And then you also, when you feel that you have the energy, a social energy to meet people, you can do that too, right? And so, yeah, I hope I answered your question, but yeah.
You definitely did. So I just want to emphasize some of the things you said. You find your true self when you travel solo. That was
Yeah.
so beautiful. You learn things about
Oh, yeah.
yourself. Like
Mm.
I said, that I was capable of traveling by myself. And then I will go on to travel to 4 countries by myself after that. I was like, I can't believe it. Now I can't stop. And then I
Yeah.
would look like every month, I'm like, where we headed next? Where we headed next? It was so
Yeah.
exciting. And that when you travel alone, you are never truly alone.
No.
So true. There are people there. You will meet people on the tours, like you mentioned, while you're walking around. You will meet really great friends and lovely people. So, this is a good segue into my next question for you, which is what were the people like? In your video, you kind of discussed different types of people. You were like, some people are like in your face. Hey, how's it going? No personal bubble. Some people are like doing their own thing. What was the vibe in the 5 countries that you mentioned in your video? Of the people in the place, like kind of like the culture of the people.
Generally, because if I'm talking about those five African countries, African people are very welcoming in general as people. But there's degrees, you know, from Cameroon to, let's say, Benin. Like West Africa people are very reserved. They're very polite, they're quieter, you know, they speak with a soft tone, so you won't feel that they won't be in your space, you know. There's kind of they will respect your space. Now, when you go to Central Africa, places like Cameroon, people are in your face and they speak loud, you know. So sometimes you will see two Cameroonian talking, you think that there's going to be a fight, call the police. No, they're just having a conversation. And when they come and talk to you, as soon as you come out of the airport, they'll come and grab your bag and like, oh, sister, oh, mama, depending of how they identify you. You are younger than me, be like, oh, sister, let me help you, you know, let me carry your bag. Or they will act like they're working for the airport and they will just come, take your bag and follow me, I'll take you. But you need to pay something to for them to do that. But you will feel disturbed. Like in Cameroon, if you're not used of people being in your space, you will be a bit like guarded, right? There's no malice there. Of course, you have to be careful. At the airport, there could be people pickpocket. You'll see that everywhere. But it's more difficult in Cameroon. You have to prepare yourself psychologically, because even me, when I just arrived, I felt like, please leave me alone, right? But now I'm used to it. And so when I arrive, I know they will be on me. But I'm like, okay, thank you. I don't need you. Thank you. Okay, have a good day. Right. And so that's just, I think when you arrive, when you travel in this place, you have to prepare yourself. You have to do your homework to know the people in the country that you're going to. And then for the other countries like Zambia, they're so lovely. The middle range, like Zambia, Senegal, they're very, very, sorry, very balanced. They won't be in your face, but they will be talking to you nicely, etc. And then the West African are just very quiet, you know, the soft spoken. Please, yes, madam, they're very soft spoken. And then the Central Africa will be like, hey, sister, hey, mama, can you help me? You know, so you just have to be prepared for that. But just know that it's just the cultural, is nothing malicious about it. Like, some women don't like to be called madam.
Mm.
You hear that a lot in Central Africa. Or mama, like mama. Like, they call you, if they see me, I'm gray hair and I'm a certain age, a younger person will come, hey ma, can I help you? And it's okay. When I just arrive, I'm like, hey, I'm not your mother, leave me alone,
That
But
was really, really beautiful. I love how you broke it down by regions and personalities. And
yeah,
I didn't even think of that. Like, research the people when you're
yeah,
going to a country. That is very, very good advice.
yeah.
Okay, so I gave you something that was really hard and complicated. Is like, tell me about all the people all around. I'm gonna give you some real easy. Tell us what that food do, because people are always interested in the food. Tell us some of the food that you ate in the different countries, what you liked, what you didn't like. We want to know because we
I,
hungry.
I know. Well, Cameroon is one of the place where you will eat the best food in Africa. Cameroon, they call it the mini Africa because it's a big country and there's so much different cultures. Like, you will find almost different part of Africa inside Cameroon. So they have 100,000 different dishes, like the ndole, and they have like the vegetable, the meat, everything. Cameroon is so rich that it's crazy. And also because it's a country that is very good in agriculture. Like, every Cameroonian on the front of the house, you'll find tomato, mango, but they tell you they don't have food, right? But they have, because everyone has something on the front. When you eat an apple or a banana, a mango, an avocado in Cameroon, it's a different experience than eating it in Europe. There's no taste the way it is done, but there the soil is so rich. It's crazy. Um, and then Senegal, uh, the jollof rice, or the chebujen, the way they call it, is everything is done with rice. Rice with the sauce with different. It could be rice chicken, rice fish, rice uh, meat. But at day 7, I was tired. Like, I, c- I want to eat something else. It's so good. It's so good. The chebuchen is not. It's not expensive because it's the food of the country, right? It's the typical food there. It's very nice, but at some point you want to eat something else. They put a lot of vegetable in it as well, right? And but you will see that the funny thing is, when you travel within Africa, that's when you understand how we call things differently, but they're essentially the same meals. In Cameroon, we have also that same rice, meat, etc., but we call it differently. And in Ivory Coast as well. So, but the place where I find difficulty finding food that I really liked, because if I go to Africa, I'm sorry, I don't want to eat burger or like steak fries. I'm sorry, I want to eat something typical from the countries. And so in Namibia and in South Africa, I couldn't find anything that was typical, like plantain. Give me some plantain, give me some cassava, give me some African leaves, something. I couldn't, right? So it's difficult to pinpoint. Cameroon, definitely the best food you would ever taste. Street food, everything, they have everything there. Um, and Benin, the same. If you want to snack, it's so cheap in Benin. You have a plate for hardly, I don't know if $1 or two, but you have vegetable, you have meat, you have a bit of rice, or maybe you have cassava. Um, but the best food, Cameroon, definitely. But the least favorite for me was in South Africa, because for me it was just eating the same way I eat in Europe. There was not enough exotic food. Maybe I didn't look well. South African, don't be angry at me. Maybe I didn't go enough places to test something that was typical. Um, yeah,
It's okay. Your truth is your truth. I'm not upset with you. We want to know what you saw. This is your perspective.
yeah,
Okay, I did not tell you I was going to ask you this question ahead of time, so I hope it's okay. It's
yeah.
really easy, but I know that you have some beautiful souvenirs that you got from different countries. Some of them are behind you. You can feel free to show us or not show us, it's fine. But could you tell us about the souvenirs that you got? Because I saw some of the things that you had and I was like, wow, those are incredible. And maybe if you want to, yeah, go for it. If you want to tell us like where can we go to find souvenirs in particular?
This one makes me always smile. It was done at the same time as this one there. This one reads Jazz Gore 2023. It was done in Gore Island in Senegal. And so the guy, when he saw me, he did that in 2 seconds. That's sand, just done with sand. He did it in a few seconds. I have a video on my friend channel that show how he's doing this. And it's like, okay, you reminded me, I made that for you. That's you. And I always kept that. It didn't make me pay for that. He just gave it to me. Usually, I don't buy any souvenir at all. But um, that is something that I absolutely wanted. The dress that I'm wearing as well is something that I bought in Ivory Coast. You will see in my channel, I wear different colors. I have the blue, the red, I don't know. I arrived in Benin and they lost my luggage. So I spent like 10 days without clothes. I had only the clothes that I was wearing. So I went to a market and then I bought these dresses so I could wear something else as well. And yeah, that's essentially what and I don't know if I have it here. When I went to South Africa, I made those with a friend. That's a nice way to have a souvenir and to give back to the country as well. This is very beautiful. I made it with one of my friends, with a local South African, and so she taught us how to make jewelry, and I thought that was fantastic. And these, because when you solo travel, and I'm a backpacker as well, you don't want too much stuff. So I would just wear that on me, to make sure that it doesn't even take space, because the good thing is you can really fold it. Yeah. So that's about it, because I don't buy souvenir usually. Just time to time I will buy bracelet, but I don't have them with me right now.
You did perfectly. It was exactly that painting I wanted you to show, and it happened to be right there. I'm so happy. I also want to show my shirt too.
Oh, lovely, nice, yes.
Yeah, on my trip to Nigeria and Ghana, I got this shirt along the way. So yeah, buying things like shirts like you with your dress, like the
Yeah,
jewelry, these are perfect things because when it comes to buying souvenirs, sometimes we're buying stuff that's like frivolous, we're not even going to use it, but these
yeah.
things have functions. You and I are wearing these clothes, you can
Oh,
wear that jewelry. So why not get a souvenir that also has a function, and then you are more likely to keep up with it because it actually has a use for you.
absolutely. I always do. The other thing. Okay, I don't know how my back. There is.
It's okay. No, this
Sorry.
looks great. It's okay.
These I will buy sometime,
Okay.
because I don't have to take a lot. Sometimes there's people at the beach, on the street, the kids selling. It's a penny. It's like a
Perfect.
penny. I will take two,
Perfect.
three that I know I will use and I'm using it, and maybe take one for my friend.
Fantastic.
And it doesn't take any space on your bag. And so yeah, these are
That's
the color
perfect.
fix. And you're right. Buy things that you will use, not knick-knack that you're not going to use or do anything with, and just going to clutter your home. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And sometimes I'll ask the locals where to go for souvenirs. They took us to like this wonderful market all the way in the back of this random street that had incredible souvenirs. And also sometimes they'll have like a ferry, like a place that has like a bazaar, maybe more of a bazaar
yeah.
where they're selling various things. Where did you go to get some of your stuff, like your dress, for example?
Right. I do not go to the tourist place. Like I would ask a local to take me the same way you did. I
Okay.
went to the market, like the raw market, and I was there. I mean, I was not the one bargaining. I'm very bad at it. But she would bargain everything down for me, etc. Because you know that if you go to I mean, if you want your peace of mind and you want to go to a tourist place, just know that you'd pay twice, even three times or 10 times more than that would cost you. This hardly cost me, I don't know if it even cost me £10, $10. It was very cheap, and I had many of them that I took, and because I wanted to bring one for my daughter as well. So yeah, I never go to the tourist place. I would go to the locals, and to the market, and to
Yes,
make sure that I
market.
have. Yeah, it's also like, you get to talk with the locals. You get to have conversation and see really how locals live, right? Because they do that. They go to the market when they want to buy things, and it's a game to go there and have to bargain. And even if I didn't do it myself, I'm too bad.
Yeah, no worries. I love that. Let's support the markets, you all, not just going
Yes.
straight to the mall. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
let's support the locals. That could be in a market.
Yeah.
Support those locals. Don't just go straight to the mall. Don't just
I
go
don't.
straight to the tourist trap.
Yeah.
Don't just buy stuff in the airport. Support the
Oh
locals and have a
no.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
good. Okay, so we are almost at time, but let me ask you our last final questions. Is there any advice that you would give someone that is traveling for the first time? They're scared, they don't know what to do. Maybe how can they choose a country? How do they know what city to stay in? How do they know what accommodations to use? Because you talked about for yourself doing your own accommodations and budgeting. What advice would you give to someone?
I think it's all about doing your homework, not just listen to the news and to often when you will check online, people may scare you, because scary news bring views, right? Do your homework by yourself. Research the country, you know, search online for people who have gone to that country. That's what I do for myself. And today we have like Airbnb is quite safe, and when you go to an Airbnb, you can, before booking, chat with the owner and ask, is that area is a safe area for me? And even I had even Airbnb host booking taxis for me to collect me, etc., and bring me back to their place. That's also another good point, because sometimes they may give you an address, and in Africa, address don't work like in the West. You know, it's often, you have to turn by the station, then from the station you have to turn to, so you may not be able to find the place. But if the owner contact, the taxi driver, or often they have the taxi they work with, who already know the place, it saves you so much time and stress, right? So I forgot the question. Perimenopause brain. Oh
You're
my goodness.
good. No, you did fantastic. Research, research, research. And I love what you said too about just talking to people online or even in your life that have already traveled to that place. That's how you can figure out like what specific city you're interested in, what specific country. You've given great advice today about countries and like what would be easier or harder depending on, how much experience people have when they travel. So this
Yeah.
final question, yeah, this
And
final
just
question,
one thing is like
please.
the Facebook group are amazing.
Facebook.
Yeah, because one time I traveled to India by myself. I went to Fort Koshi in Kerala. I recommend everyone to go there. It's amazing. If you've been to Delhi, New Delhi is hectic. It's like overwhelming. When you first arrive in Delhi, it's something else. Fort Koshi, Kerala, people are laid back. It's like the Australian of India. They're so laid back, etc. And I felt sick and I wanted to go to a hospital and I wanted to know where to shop. I went to a Facebook group. There was an American lady that told me this and that. She gave me all the information, and the group was helping me to know where to go, where not to go, where to shop, where not to shop. So Facebook groups are also a very good resource where you can even talk to expats that live inside the country already, and we will give you most amazing information.
Could not agree with you more.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Facebook group, type in Black expats in. And
Yeah.
then there are so many groups to tell you people that actually have lived there. That's
Yeah.
different than being a tourist, so they can give you a lot of valuable information. Thank you for that. Appreciate you. Okay. Final question of the day. This is a hard one, so I need you to be ready.
Okay,
As
ready.
a woman, as a Black person, Black woman combined, were there times that you felt unsafe, or if there are concerns for Black women specifically? Because I know that as a woman walking around, sometimes there were some eyes on me. Okay. There were other
Mhm.
people that were looking at me, looking at them, looking at me. And so, what I did in those situations, if I felt like somebody was staring at me just a little too hard, I was like, let me go somewhere where there are other people. So I would like walk into a restaurant. Maybe I would walk into a mall. Maybe I started to speed up as if I knew exactly where I was going. I knew the destination. Was there ever a time that you felt like, as a woman, things were a little sketchy? Maybe there were some people out there that you didn't feel completely safe with. What would you do in that situation?
Well, it was maybe not feeling safe because I often pay attention. One of the things that I do when I travel solo, I go early in the morning, and by 5 or before the sun goes off, I'm in the flat. I do everything during daytime. I do not go outside, and I don't drink in general. So I'm certainly not going to drink while I travel because I want to be aware of what I'm doing. So the places where I felt uncomfortable, not mm, unsafe, depend. Malta was surprising for me. I went to Malta and people were not friendly at all. People were very looking at you, like, when people look at you out of curiosity, and people looking at you like, what are you doing here? Malta was a place where, and unfortunately, I become mean as well. If somebody is looking at me like, and I will also look back, like, do you have a problem with me? Malta, I felt like that. And otherwise, when I traveled to China, um, and South Korea was different. I didn't feel that they were being mean or threatening me. But China was overwhelming because people were staring, like, no, like stare and would not look away, like, and that was so uncomfortable. And I was with my kid at some point, and he made me not want to go outside because it was too much. It was too much. Couldn't go anywhere without people really looking at you, or um yeah. And in Japan, what was funny is we were in a little bit it was not in Tokyo, it was in Yokohama somewhere, and we took a bus, and there was space next to us. Nobody would sit next to us. No, nobody would sit next to us, although there was space and everything. And but to finish on a high note, I would say that there's one place where I was afraid to travel, and because sometimes I'm just like, okay, let me just look at Google Explore and Google Flight Explore, the Explorer, tab, and see where I can go for the cheapest. And then I ended up going to Romania. Romania is a country that I would never go by myself because it remind me of Soviet times and etc. So I was afraid to go in Romania, but I had the best experience ever, and people are helping me. Yes, you will have all the people looking at you like, and the thing is, when you are a black person, no matter where you go, people still surprised to see a black person, because of the stairs. You would think that today, 2025, people are aware that we exist and it's okay and we can travel as well. But people will look at you like, will be curious looking at you. And but yeah, it's honestly, I just brush it off my shoulder today. I just keep myself safe. If I feel that somebody is unhappy to see me there, and could be harming me, I will just remove myself from the situation and move away, move elsewhere. And as you said, go where people are. But generally, I make sure that I try anyway. You can never prove safe yourself, but I try to make sure that I'm either aware there's a group of people and never leave myself by myself. I won't stand alone just in an area. Yeah.
That was perfect. We appreciate you so much. And just to clarify, Malta was a country in Europe, correct? That
Yes,
you were
yes.
mentioning?
Malta.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I had similar experience to you with the China and staring, and a lot of Black people have mentioned that feeling like a zoo animal
Oh my
sometimes.
goodness. Yeah.
So be prepared for that. And then I think the most important thing that you said is being aware of your surroundings at all times. So if you're solo
Absolutely.
traveling, just be aware. I love what you said about not going out at night and not drinking. I'm the same way. After about 6 p.m., once that sun go down, I'm inside as well. So that's great. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. You gave us such great information. We would like to just close on you just telling us about your channel one more time and why we should watch your channel.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Dr. Maya. And it was a pleasure having that discussion. When talking about traveling, I'm like over the moon because it's something that I love. It's a passion. And that's what you will find on my channel, just the passion of traveling and encouraging women, and mainly women over 50 that think that their life end at 50. No, life start at 50. That's where you go and explore and find yourself again, because as women, we are caretaker. Caregiver is a caregiver. Caregiver. We look after everyone else but ourselves. And solo traveling is the best self care that you can do for yourself because it's about you and nobody else. Because when you travel with your kids and family and all of that, you still take care of them. Like, I love traveling with my kid, but please, not only it's more expensive, you know, when I'm alone, I can have my noodle if I want to, right? But they want to go to restaurant, etc. So that's why you would find on my channel. And recently, I'm interviewing Black people, Black from the diaspora, and see how we can close the bridge. Like that's something that's very dear to me, to meet my people. Like I want to go to South America, which I have never been, and meet Black people there. And I've learned yesterday that there's a group of Black people in Thailand. So I'm trying to find my people everywhere in the world, and I will go interview a few people, talk to them about being Black and Africa, teach them about Africa, teach them, exchange about our cultures, etc. So that's what you will find. Lot of traveling love and about Africa and about Black people in general.
We love all of those things. So please, please like, comment, and subscribe and check out Jazz's channel. It's fantastic. Just such an open and wonderful person, just so loving and giving with information. But what I love that you said the most is that the most self care that we can have is to solo travel. So
Mhm.
I will leave it on that note. You all, I'm so glad that you came by. Please continue to watch our content and please support us because we support you as Black people. So we
Yeah.
hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. And we're so glad that you were connecting with us today. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Yes, you're welcome. Bye, bye, bye.
Bye.